The big story occupying a lot of mind space and spawning a lot of commentary, debate, recrimination for months now, viewers. A certain section of the political mainstream has been demonizing Ram Bhakts, accusing devotees of weaponizing Maryada Purushottam to serve their own political ends. The result of the sustained campaign are for all to see. Look at your screens. Look at your screens. 10 images from almost, viewers, 8 geographies in this country, 8 separate states. Witnessing what? Violence. Indeed, blinded by the blanket depiction of the Ram Bhakt as a saffron reactionary, some people have been targeting processions by ordinary devotees. On Ram Navami, the phobia hit a new high. Across several states, the faithful celebrating the birth of Lord Ram, taking out processions, singing devotional songs, visiting temples, were attacked. Religious celebrations in at least 8 states made headlines for violence, arson, and deaths. Not devotion, viewers, but deaths. Incidents were reported from Delhi, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Jharkhand, and Karnataka. At least 2 people have been reported dead in these clashes, one each from Jharkhand and Gujarat. A blame game has now broken out. In fact, BJP leader Sambit Patra linked the violence to provocations by the likes of leaders of the mindset of Rahul Gandhi. Sambit Patra came out and said, viewers, that Rahul Gandhi, who has been talking about an eye for an eye, jaw for a jaw response, could have pushed a large number of people into attacking those that they are now becoming increasingly phobic of, because an ecosystem is building up a fear in their minds. Listen first to Sambit Patra.
जिन लोगों ने देश को बांटने का धंधा लगा के रखा है, उनके लिए ये दुकान चलाने का भी है कि कैसे लोगों के बीच में तनाव पैदा कर दे। ऐसी सरकार है जिसका ये एजेंडा हो, ये कभी नहीं देखा। हम लोग पीस बाई करते थे, ये टेंशन क्रिएट करते हैं, यही दोनों में फर्क रहा है।
देखिए, बहुत दुखद विषय है, जैसे मैंने अभी कहा कि भगवान राम के नाम पर जिस प्रकार की राजनीति विपक्ष के कुछ नेता कर रहे हैं और जिस प्रकार का बयान विपक्ष के कुछ नेता भगवान राम के नाम में दे रहे हैं, जिसमें भगवान राम के अस्तित्व के ऊपर ही प्रश्न चिन्ह लगा रहे हैं, और उसी स्पीच में, उसी भाषण में हिंसा की बात भी कर रहे हैं कि कानून अपने हाथ में ले लेना चाहिए और अगर हिंसा फैलाना पड़े तो भी फैलाना चाहिए। ये राहुल गांधी जी का वक्तव्य कल का रहा है। तो स्वाभाविक रूप से जब इतने बड़े पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के नेता इस प्रकार के इमैच्योर बयान देंगे, इस प्रकार के इररेस्पॉन्सिबल बयान देंगे।
What is exactly the statement that has elicited this response from Dr. Patra? Well, listen into what Rahul Gandhi said.
कहा, अगर मैं आपकी जगह होता और मैं अपने आप को लाश बनाने के लिए तैयार होता, आत्महत्या करने के लिए तैयार होता, तो आत्महत्या करने से पहले पता लगाता ये कौन है जिसने मेरे भाई को मारा, रसोई से चाकू निकालता, बस में जाता, उसके घर जाता, छाती में छुरा मार देता।
Viewers, let me break this story down from you and bring you the latest on the situation from various states. Madhya Pradesh, our first stop, clashes broke out in Khargone and, viewers, in Barwani. Now, in both these locations, stones were pelted during a Ram Navami rally. At least 24 people have been injured, including a superintendent of police who is said to have sustained bullet injuries. The Madhya Pradesh government has cracked down on rioters. 84 people have been arrested so far. And the government has even started bulldozing the houses of those involved in the stone pelting, they are saying that this is how they're going to punish people under the law for taking law into their own hands and causing destruction to public property. In Gujarat, there were not just injuries but a casualty too. In Chapadia area, stones were pelted and shops and vehicles were set ablaze. Police had to resort to lathi charge and lob tear gas shells to control the situation. However, an hour later, VHP took out another procession in the same area, sparking a second wave of stone pelting and violence. In this melee, at least 4 policemen were injured, while ABVP claims 15 of their workers were hurt. 1 person succumbed to injuries. 23 people have been arrested. It doesn't just end there, viewers. In Jharkhand, clashes took an ugly turn as 1 person died. That's right, died. 12 people sustained injuries. In Bengal's Howrah area, 3 separate incidents of violence were reported. Clashes broke out after the rally crossed a mosque. The police claim they did not have permission. Stones were hurled from the terrace when the procession passed through the area. In Karnataka, 2 students of the Karnataka Central University were allegedly targeted because they attended a Ram Navami celebration. Visuals show the students stopped, beaten up, even as the police official looked on helplessly. Viewers, in Delhi too, we saw tension in JNU. 2 students groups, and we're just going to pull out those pictures, clashed with each other. Dramatic scenes, 4 videos have emerged in which viewers, ABVP and extreme left student bodies, their members are clashing, apparently because a puja was stalled. If one were to believe the left, the ABVP says that they did so because their puja was stalled. If you believe the left, they said that ABVP tried to stop serving of non-vegetarian food in the canteen. Now, viewers, obviously, there are 2 sides to every story. The probes in these various incidents are on. I can't sit here in judgment and apportion blame. But there are certain basic questions that can be asked, and we're going to ask them tonight of our panel. Nupur Sharma, National Spokesperson of the BJP. Dr. Shashi Panja, Minister in charge, Department of Women and Child Development and Social Welfare of West Bengal, is here with us. She's the National Spokesperson of the TMC. Dr. Panja, let me ask you a straightforward question. Are the widespread attacks, some of which have even taken place in the state of Bengal, part of a grand design to disturb the peace and divide India? Simple, straightforward question.
Yeah, it's just I don't know which side of the allegation it is, but on the contrary, I would say whatever happened in Bengal were very mild skirmishes, and it was related to the procession, the routes of the procession, and it was deftly handled by the police because Bengal is a secular state, and it promotes this secularism. And here, festivals are celebrated with love, joy, and they can never be used to divide people. It's as simple as that. So we would
Ma'am, you say that you're a secular state. Let me just point out, in 2017, the Calcutta High Court had pulled up your government over its notification that had placed restrictions on Durga idol immersions during Muharram. We are being told that your state administration says no permission was given to any of the devotees to hold these processions, and therefore they were illegal. Now, immersions during Muharram, here's what the court said: let them live in harmony, do not create line between them. And you were asked to revoke these restrictions. Your restrictions were deemed selective, only against one community and not against the other. How are you secular? I'm only quoting the courts for you, ma'am.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. And the idea is just that all processions should proceed seamlessly. And it is just to facilitate that all religions
No,
get
can you
that
deny
space
that the procession taken out by the Hindus was given permission or denied permission?
See, Durga Puja is held every year in Bengal.
No, I'm not talking about Durga Puja. I'm talking about Ram Navami. The processions were not given permission. Why?
I thought you were talking about Durga Puja that time.
Yes.
Now, regarding, it's not about not giving permissions. Everybody took out. You are talking about a skirmish in one, district of that state.
Yeah.
But there were Ram Navami processions all over the state.
Okay.
Nothing happened.
So,
even this was, everybody participated together.
Okay.
Rahul,
well, let me ask
the idea
this.
is very simple, as I said.
Yes.
In Durga Puja too, and all pujas that we celebrate, you make idols. We have Muslims who make idols and mandaps and do lighting for us. And we as Hindus are worshipping. So it's a festival where we come together. This can never be used for any kind of division, leave alone politics.
Okay. I just brought out one contradiction in what you said about being a secular state, about the court actually pulled up your government belying that claim. But I'm also going to follow up with another question. Can those who today say that the attacks are spontaneous, perhaps, skirmishes, explain how they erupted spontaneously across the country at around the same time, and curiously, not in the state with the greatest number of Muslims, which is Uttar Pradesh? Mr. Abhishek Sudhir, can you explain this? In the state of UP, where one would expect, and you always, as a representative of the Samajwadi Party or those who are critical of the Yogi government, talk about how polarized and communally charged the environment is. Nothing happened in Uttar Pradesh, but in other states. Can you explain that? If it's all spontaneous?
Actually, yeah, you're factually incorrect.
Okay.
At a Ram Navami procession yesterday in Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh, those clad in saffron were waving pistols, guns and weapons. So it's not as though nothing happened in Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh. So something did happen yesterday.
No, I'm only asking you. There were no clashes. I don't know about what you're saying. I don't have the videos. If you have the videos, you can share them. But I'm only asking you the larger question.
I saw them on your channel.
Are these spontaneous,
I saw them on your channel, but anyway.
Coincidental, or part of a larger design to disturb the peace born out of a phobia? Simple.
Look, the point is, the question is not whether it's a larger design or who's to blame. Right now, the leadership of this nation, and I say this nation because clashes have erupted in 8 different states. They've erupted in states where there's a BJP government, where there's a non-BJP government. I want to hear my Prime Minister speak. I want the Prime Minister to lead this nation, and I want him to break his silence. Because if we keep going down this road, the communal sort of harmony, the communal atmosphere has been vitiated. We are headed, right, for non-stop clashes on a daily basis. The communal atmosphere is vitiated. The Prime Minister is not speaking. Why doesn't the Prime Minister speak? Why doesn't he instruct his BJP CMs to maintain order? Why doesn't he plead with the non-BJP CMs to maintain order? Why doesn't he ask that action be taken against those who make hate speeches? Those who are provoked, those who are getting provoked, those who are doing the provocation are both wrong. The Prime Minister needs to lead. If he remains silent, this country is headed for a disaster.
Two incidences of communal polarization came from the state of Uttar Pradesh in recent weeks. You had the Haridwar speech. Was the person who made those remarks, those awful, abominable remarks, not arrested, jailed?
He's out on bail. He's
fine.
out on bail. Yatina Singh Anand is out on bail. And while on bail, he made another hate speech. And he has not been arrested for violating his bail conditions.
Abhishek Sudhir, you're a lawyer. You know the law better than I. I can't even pretend to know.
Who's the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand?
One second.
Who is the Chief Pushkar Singh Dhami?
Excuse me.
Are you telling me Mr. Modi cannot instruct Mr. Dhami to arrest Yatina Singh Anand again? When he violates his bail condition, he should have been arrested immediately.
Abhishek Sudhir, he went to jail. He was released by the courts. He was not released by Modi, who went there, opened the padlock and let him go. Anyhow, I'm just saying, action is being
he was
taken.
released by the courts on a certain conditions. One of the conditions being he should not make a hate speech. He made a hate speech. That's a violation of his bail condition, which means his bail should be cancelled and he should be arrested.
Okay, one second. Abhishek Sudhir, I'll tell you a state where no action has been taken. I'm talking about a place called Karoli, where the police, in fact, is seen on camera abetting those that carried out the rioting. they say bhag jao. The leader of that,
Right.
the leader of the riot is an ally
Now,
of the
can I
Congress.
respond to that?
Let me finish. Leader of the riot is a Congress ally, is not arrested. His family members who are seen on the video footage targeting
Right.
members of the other community, not arrested. They're not even named in the FIR. Anyhow,
Okay.
I'm just being told by my producers
Okay.
that there has been no
let me just give you an
communal
answer
clash
to
in
that.
Uttar Pradesh. So I'm just setting that record straight. Yes, quick response. I want to bring in Nupur Sharma of the BJP, Dr. Anand Ranganathan right after.
Guns
Yes.
were waved in Mirzapur at a Ram Navmi procession.
I don't know, sir. I am
You
being
know,
told right now
guns
there have been
were
no
waved.
clashes
And
in
let me
Uttar Pradesh.
talk about
Have there been
Rahul.
clashes in Uttar Pradesh, sir? Yes or no?
Let me talk about Karoli.
No. Why are you suddenly changing the goalposts when I'm asking you? Have there been clashes in
Rahul,
Uttar
may I
Pradesh?
just
Yes or
Talk
no?
about Karoli.
Okay, talk about
No,
Karoli,
it's-
sir.
it's- no.
Suit yourself. Yes.
They have waved guns. They have waved
Have there
guns
been
at a Ram
clashes? I
Navmi
talked about
procession.
clashes.
That's a criminal
I talked
offense.
about clashes,
The-
sir. I don't know in
people
what
did not
context
react
those
to
guns
it.
were waved.
People did not react to
I
it.
have no way
People did
of
not react to it.
ascertaining at this moment what
People
you're
did
saying.
not
I
react to
talked
it.
about clashes. I am being told on authority that there have been no clashes in Uttar Pradesh on Ram Navami. So let's agree on this particular point. There have been no
Were
clashes.
guns and weapons not waved at a Ram Navmi procession?
I don't know,
yesterday?
sir. I have to get that checked.
But
But
guns
have
and
there been any
weapons were waved
clashes?
at a Ram Navami
No.
procession in
There have been
Mirzapur.
no clashes. There have been no clashes. You might be right. I don't
So
know.
what
I have
is
to
your-
find this out.
what
I'm
is-
telling
what
you,
are
I'm
you
being
trying
honest
to
with
say?
you.
What are
I
you
need to.
trying
But
to
tell
say?
me, why haven't there been arrests in Karoli
No, what's your point?
where there are individuals
What's your point?
caught on camera assaulting and attacking members of another community by the Congress government? And what does that tell you?
Right. Let me give you a quick response. You blame Ashok
Can I
Gehlot
just
for the
come in,
Karoli
Rahul,
riots.
please?
Why don't you blame Shivraj Singh Chauhan for what happened in Madhya Pradesh?
Of course. He's
Why don't you
responsible.
blame
He's the
BJP
chief minister of the
ministers
state.
for the clashes that have taken place?
He's the chief minister of the state.
Are the BJP chief ministers not
No,
responsible
let me
for
tell
the
you.
clashes that
Let me
take
tell you.
place?
I have a soundbite of
Yes, so
Digvijay
why not
Singh.
Shivraj Singh Chauhan?
No, 1 second.
Why not Shivraj Singh Chauhan? Why
I am
not the Chief
saying
Minister of
so.
Gujarat?
I am agreeing with you. Abhishek Sudhir, what gives you the impression that I don't believe that a chief minister is responsible
So
for law and
ask
order?
Nupur Sharma,
But let me
please
tell you, no,
ask
1
the
second,
same
1
tough
second, 1
questions
second.
of
Let me
Nupur
tell you.
Sharma.
Right,
Please
1
ask
second.
the same tough
We'll
questions of
ask
Nupur
those
Sharma.
questions. I just want to play out, viewers. And I want to ask you, Abhishek
Or
Sudhir,
I-
before
Can I
I play out.
please
1
come in,
second.
Rahul?
1 second, I'm coming to. Have patience. We have plenty of time. Just give me 30 seconds. Abhishek Sudhir, you heard Rahul Gandhi yesterday talking about retributive violence. Do you agree with him? Yes or no? Simple question.
No.
No.
No, I
Wonderful.
don't.
That proves my point, viewers. There are a large number of political parties who are indulging in insightful behavior. They belong to the BJP and the Congress. I'm not denying that. I'm only saying, therefore, is it too much to assume that this backlash is because of the encouragement that is being given by political mainstream leaders, someone who wanted to be the prime minister of this country, for example, and whose family has, on numerous other occasions, also rationalized rioting? That's a fundamental question I'm asking. Nupur Sharma, you need to respond to Abhishek Sudhir. By the way, I just want to say, viewers, that in Madhya Pradesh, Digvijay Singh came out and said that the chief minister is responsible. He should resign. He should come out and answer. In Rajasthan, the chief minister Gehlot, who's of the Congress party, says, bring Prime Minister Modi to explain. I'm not responsible for what goes on under my watch. That is a level of hypocrisy. Nonetheless, Nupur Sharma, the accusation is against you, that there are people from your ecosystem that are going out there and trying to encourage people to riot.
Three things, Rahul. Three things. First and foremost, according to Mr. Sudhir, let's just buy his argument for a second and let's just see what is going to happen. Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan is responsible for Madhya Pradesh, although he has ordered demolition of private properties of all the rioters, but he is responsible. But Mr. Ashok Gehlot in Rajasthan is not responsible. Even though the prime accused in the Karoli incident, which happened on the first day of Navratri, happens to be a Congress-backed councillor by the name of Matloob Ahmed, and somebody who's been evading arrest since forever, perhaps because the administration has been, lax in arresting him, or perhaps aiding his ways of absconding arrest and evading arrest. So yes, Mr. Gehlot and his government are not responsible for Matlub Ahmed evading arrest, but Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan is actually responsible for announcing and ordering and arresting people and also saying that all your private properties are going to be demolished, all you rioters. Perhaps now, what Mr. Sudhir also wants to say is, let's blame all Hindus. How dare you celebrate Ram Navami? How dare you take out processions? How dare you be born a Hindu and say it out loud? I'm a proud Hindu and Jai Shri Ram. How dare you be a Hindu? How dare you believe in Ram Bhagwan and Siya Mata? Perhaps what needs to be, one second, allow me to finish. You know, Rahul, I did not heckle this man.
Okay, now no one interrupted you, Mr. Sudhir. Please, let's show some respect for the other point of view.
This is not fair.
Y'all are not Hindus.
One second. Abhishek Sudhir, please. Let the other person speak. They allowed you to speak. It's not fair. She's right. And I concur.
Mr.
Yes.
Sudhir on your channel is going to decide Mr. Sudhir is going to, on your channel, Rahul right now said she's not a Hindu. Well, who are you to decide that? Well, like I said, he just proved my point. The fault is in me. The fault is in the likes of me, who are by birth
I'll have to
Hindu and who practice Hinduism. Yes. The fact is, who are you? Why are you a Hindu? You know, I am to be blamed because I'm a Hindu and I celebrate Navratri and Ram Navami.
Okay.
But those people pelting stones, burning motorcycles, burning public property, creating loot and arson, they are not the culprits. They are victims. You're missing the point of Mr. Sudhir. And point number 3, where is the Prime Minister? When is he going to speak? I'll tell you what. For those states who are not taking action, like Mr. Chauhan ordering demolition of property of rioters, for those CMs who are just saying that I'm helpless, like Mr. Gehlot, they should actually surrender.
Okay.
Since, law and order in home is a full state subject in full states like Rajasthan.
On one
they
point.
should surrender power because they're so useless
on one point, Nupur Sharma,
and let the Prime Minister start by arresting people like Rahul Gandhi.
Okay, Nupur Sharma, you are making some valid points. I disagree with you on one particular point, just to set the record straight. Yes, demolitions are happening, but I don't still know if due process is being followed there. That is also something that needs to be observed. So let's not make a virtue out of what many people tonight are apprehending is an act.
That's a matter for courts.
Yes, that's a matter for courts. Nonetheless, so I'm not going to. Yes, that's fine. But I'm not going to allow something to go unchallenged, which might be seen again as an action that will lead to other people taking the law into their own hands. So that's an important caveat that I must inject here. Times Now is not underwriting vigilantism or what some people are calling as kangaroo justice. But the fact is, viewers, that certain administrations act with greater alacrity than others. Is that in itself creating an environment that emboldens those that are going out there and doing terrible things in this country? Dr. Ranganathan, coming out to you. What do you make of this? Some people are saying this, as you just heard. As you just heard, Nupur Sharma, this is an assault on Astha.
Yeah, good evening, Rahul. First of all, I condemn the pan-India stone pelting incidents as well as the JNU violence on account of Ram Navami. I really condemn it. There are 4 issues here, and let me delve into them briefly. First, the stone pelting, and then I'll come to the JNU incident. Number 1, this thing about Shobha Yatras bringing violence upon themselves by venturing into quote-unquote Muslim areas. Will these culturally subjugated, virtue-signaling dunderheads stop using the phrase Muslim areas? Now, who is dividing India again into Muslim and non-Muslim areas and ghettoizing them? And if our modern history has taught us anything, it is that Muslim areas soon turn into Muslim countries. And all it requires is a Jinnah. And today we have hundreds of them. Number 2, stop blaming the Hindus by saying they provoked the Muslims by playing objectionable music near mosques. So, the essence of azan, which is, quote, there is no God but Allah and no one has the right to be worshipped but Allah 4062, unquote, amplified through the loudspeaker 5 times a day, whole year round, near a temple, is not provocative. But Bhajaman Ram Charan Sukhdai or Jai Hanuman Gyan Gun Sagar, amplified through the loudspeaker 1 day in a year near a mosque, is provocative. And provocation is subjective. Only violent people are provoked into violence. And talking of provocation, The very existence of a kafir is provocative. 98-6, 929, 456, 973, 21, 98, 40, 70, and 100 other verses. So we should cease to exist. To be sure, we actually would. As Rabindranath Tagore said, and I quote him, Islam has distinct enmity against all other religions. It is not just satisfied with observing its own religion, but is determined to destroy all other religions. And the only way to make peace with Islam is to embrace it, unquote. You don't seem to grasp what Gurudev did a century ago, Rahul, that this is a clash of civilizations. Number 3, now let me quickly address the JNU fracas. Honestly, it is embarrassing that grown-up men and women should be studying or engaging in such violent conduct. I am, as I elaborated last week to you, Rahul, in great detail, against any meat ban, despite being a vegetarian. But it appears this wasn't the case here. 18 hostels apparently served non-veg food yesterday. ABVP has denied demanding meat ban. They claim a puja was disrupted. Both sides got injured. Let the truth come out. Finally, number 4, and I've said this before too, Rahul, religious dress code, symbols, identities, functions, celebrations should have no place in educational institutions. Restrict them to your private place or private display. Just 10 seconds. If puja was conducted in a private place, I have no objection. But was iftar also held in a private place? No, it wasn't. I am against double standards. But it sadly appears that's the only standard we Indians follow.
Well, Lokesh Jindal, the charge is as follows, and this is an important one. Dr. Ranganathan elaborated upon this in point 1 and 2. And I'm going to ask you, has a systematic demonization of Ram Bhaks by virtue signalers resulted
Can I have 30 seconds?
in unprovoked attacks and phobia against them? Just quickly, let me get the Congress point of view in, and Dr. Ranganathan, you can respond. Lokesh Jindal, same straightforward question to you.
Yes, good evening, Rahul.
Yes.
Good evening, Rahul.
Good evening.
Since Dr. Ranganathan has talked about history, let me share an important historical narrative. A British historian by the name of Martin Gilbert, he writes about Kristallnacht, Prelude to Destruction, where he mentions how right from 1934 up till 1938, Hitler, he embarked upon an agenda by gradually passing legislations, manufactured incidents, conflicts, so as to give effect to 9th of November 1938, that is known as the Night of Broken Glass, where on one night itself, thousands of Jews were murdered, their shops were looted, and destruction was carried out. Martin Gilbert clearly points out how some form of a social conditioning was done via manufactured conflicts. And now when he's talking about history, we need to have serious discussion over hermeneutics as well, since he has been interpreting Islam in a completely different manner, as against it should be interpreted. And now when I'm talking about BJP, it is diverting from all important issues. What about inflation, unemployment? These are not there in its list. What it is talking about is all conflicts that itself is being manufactured by the party. Hijab issue, Azan issue, halal issue, loudspeaker issue, and now the JNU issue. It is a propaganda so as to achieve the larger objective of an idea of India, a distorted idea of India, that its ideologues have been pressing to since the time of independence. And it's high time all the intelligentsia, all Indian nationals, they must come together to preserve this idea of India, preserve unity in diversity, which is the basic essence of Indianness.
Sir, which idea of India? The one that allowed for the killing, the wanton killing of Kashmiri Hindus and zero justice for 35 years? Or the one that stood up famously in a rally and said, जब एक वृक्ष गिरता है तो धरती कांपती है, to justify the murder of Sikhs? Or that idea of India that buried, sir, the Sri Krishna report in the embers of the communal violence that broke out in Maharashtra, in Mumbai? Or that idea of India that gave a stage to Zakir Naik and embraced him? Or that idea of India that stands up in JNU, embraced by the Congress party, that says the hanging of Afzal Guru was a judicial execution? Or that idea of India that rattles the doors of the Supreme Court that magically open at midnight to admit petitions? seeking a ban on the judicial execution of terrorists. So which idea of India are you talking about?
Yes.
Lokesh Jindal sir.
Sir, the idea of India that I am talking, yes, sir, the idea of India that I am talking about, it talks about Vasudev Kutumbakam.
Right.
The entire India is like a family, the world is like a family.
Beef bans.
If there were some
the
form
same
of
idea
past,
of India that
please
allows
let me
the BJP,
please let me complete, sir.
Congress.
Sir, if there were past incidents.
Okay, they were past incidents, so forget the past.
Sir, it's not about Congress and BJP. Right now, the entire idea of India is in danger.
Forget the past, he says. Talk about
we have
now
seen
you're
what has
ruling the
happened to
country. Now
Germany.
lead by example. Now, Nupur Sharma, quick response, and I want to bring in Dr. Ranganathan right after, and we need to move on. Yes. Yeah, Nupur Sharma.
Rahul Gandhi egging people to pick up a knife and take revenge is his idea of India. Rahul Gandhi, supporting banduk ki nok pe azadi and Bharat ke tukde inshallah is his idea of India. And Sonia Gandhi right before the Delhi riots only recently saying Arya Par ki ladai is his idea of India.
Okay.
But I've been enlightened today, Rahul. I did not know senior advocate Devdutt Kamat, who fought the hijab case in the court, and some Srinivas, some Congress office bearer is also is a BJP person. I did not know Rajiv Gandhi was also in the BJP. Perhaps Jagdish Titla was, or maybe Sajjan Kumar. I don't know where you actually read or get your, these long sermons to give on national
BJP calling out the hypocrisy. I want to go to Dr. Anand Ranganathan very quickly. We don't have much time on this segment of the debate. Dr. Ranganathan, please.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
Yes, Rahul, I beg, I was begging 30 seconds from you because I wanted to rebut the good Dr. Panja when she said that we are totally secular. I wanted to rebut that, but since that time, as tumbleweed has gathered dust, my good friend Mr. Jindal has said some things. I would like another 30 seconds to rebut him as well. So can I have a minute, please?
Yeah, please, a minute. Go ahead. I don't have much more time. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. If the TMC spokesperson is saying that Didi and TMC are secular, I'm afraid she needs to understand the definition of secularism and how it is different from appeasement. Let us look at Mamata Didi now. Did she change Ram Dhenu to Wrong Dhenu? Yes. Did she say Batla encounter was fake? Yes. Did she oppose CAA that brought relief to persecuted Hindus? Yes. Did she appoint a Muslim on Tarkeshwar Temple Board? Yes. Did she provide midday meal dining hall for only those schools having 70% of minority students? Yes. Did she curtail the time duration traditionally permitted for Durga idol immersion to make way for Muharram procession? Yes. Did she grant 2.6 crores of taxpayers' money to Furfura Sharif? Yes. Did she promise to give land to imams for construction of houses? Yes. Did she pay more than 30,000 imams, 2,500 per month and over 15,000 muezzins, 1,500? Yes. Yes, secularism hai. Now can I come to Mr. Crystal Nath and Mr. Jindal? Mr. Jindal, it is embarrassing for a scientist to tell you history. But if you go by H. Rice 2002 Act, it was Congress that said non-Hindus cannot set up shop near Hindu temples. If you go by CA resolution, it was Congress in 2015 that said Bangladeshi minorities must be given citizenship by Hindus. If you go by flagpoles, if you go by all
you're calling
the other
out,
instances.
you're listing more examples of hypocrisy. Dr. Panja, quick response. I want to move out. Yes, Dr. Panja.
Absolutely. Just a very quick response is, Dr. Ranganathan, it's so unfortunate that you are educated. And what a diagnosis. I mean, you have to live in Bengal to understand whether Bengal is secular or not. Looking after a minority doesn't mean it's appeasement. You see, your definitions are wrong. No, Nupur, I didn't butt in when you spoke. Secondly, Rahul, please
let Dr. Panja finish. Lower everyone else's faces, Dr. Panja, yes.
Rahul ji, another thing is, this constant denial to say there's nothing wrong in the country is leading the country to disaster. And where is the nation going to talk, and the media and India going to speak on governance? I mean, this is diversionary. When are we going to talk about
dialectics, diversions? But let me tell you.
Is this going to be the agenda for 2024?
Let me tell you.
Hindu-Muslim divide.
Let me tell you.
Is that your only agenda?
Let me tell you. I don't want to get...
Doesn't happen in Bengal.
Both sides have made their point. I just want to end up by saying, viewers, there is another idea of India, and that was espoused recently by an Indian Prime Minister, the last incumbent, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who said Muslims have the first right to all India's resources. Now, I don't know if that is appeasement or if that is a definition that I've got wrong of looking after minority welfare. I don't know.